Hey, this is Dave from CheapWineFinder.com from lockdown Chicago with another wine because, what else you going to do? And it was starting to get springtime. It is April, so I went with rosé, and not just any rosé, a kind of cool, kind of classy rosé. And let me grab the bottle because it's got a beautiful label on it. I go into detail on the label on the CheapWineFinder.com website. And this one's called Amie, Rose of Pinot Noir, 2019 from Willamette Valley. And I found it for $14.99. And it's I don't think it was on sale, but it is an estate grown, produced and bottled wine. Amie is been around for about 21 years, I think now. And they specialize in Pinot Noir and Pinot Gris, and they make a sparkling wine too, so they have some Pinot Meunier in there, and they're pretty classy little winery up there in Willamette Valley, where a lot of those winemakers have a really good thing going. When it comes to Pinot Noir, Willamette Valley is my favorite. I always tell people, they always tell me how Burgundy is the best Pinot Noir, and I go, nah, I don't like it. It's kind of boring. They're all good, but they're all boring, and you get to Willamette Valley and they all have personality and they're far more fun and they're kind of practical. One thing that's kind of weird about, and this is rosé of Pinot Noir, but any wine under $40 has a screw top and any one above $40 has a cork. And that kind of makes sense because people under $40 are probably going to take it home and drink it. And the people who are paying expensive money might put it away for a while and they want to pull a cork out for whatever reason, Screw tops are just fine with me, but that's that. And this is a Pinot Noir with a beautiful label. It's this painting. There's a bird's nest and a blue bird and flowers everywhere, and it wraps around the label, and it's colorful. And I'm going to hit this a little later that you can pick out a wine by the label. Now I read that don't do that, but yeah, you can if you can read it. If you understand what's going on and what the wine is and what the label says, you can do it. But we're going to talk a little bit about this Pinot Noir, this Rosé of Pinot Noir. And this is a brand new wine for them. It's not on their website, though I did put a link on the cheapwinefinder.com page to their website, so you can check them out. They're pretty cool. They got a good thing going over there. And but this is brand new. It's a 2019. It's a young one. 2019. They, it's not that old. I mean, they picked the grapes, 6 months ago, 7 months ago. So this is a fairly young wine, but the flavors do meld together. I'm going to take a sip just so when we talk about it, I know exactly what I'm talking about because my memory is short. Well. Yeah, it's really nice. It's got a nice balance to it. This is not a fruit bomb. This is not a fluffy one. There's some weight to the flavors. And there is a, there's a nice citrus thing. And then there's harder fruit flavors. It doesn't really ever get sweet at all. And there's some salty things going on, and slightly creamy thing, and maybe some tangerine, lemon, lime, cherry, maybe riper black cherry. There's some contrast going on in this. And one thing I like about rosés, especially when they are a single grape rosé. The wines from the rosés from Provence are always blends. But with a single grape rosé, you kind of get the flip side of what the red wine of that grape does. With a red wine, there's tannins because they keep the skins in there. The tannins come from the skins, and they usually use some sort of oak aging, especially with red wine. Not always barrels, but some kind of oak aging. And when you make the wine, you have to deal with that. You have to, extract the wine and get the flavors that they can stand up to tannins and oak and everything else, and it all melds together. If you make it too light and have too much tannins, too much oak, it's going to be a mess. So you have to make it to fit. But with the rosé, you don't have the tannins. You're keeping the grape skins in there just long enough to get the color. If you're using oak, especially in this price range, it's usually neutral barrels. If you're using barrels, and with most of the rosés out there, I doubt if they even use barrels. So you don't have to deal with the tannins and the oak. So you can start concentrating on other flavors, and you don't have to use the same techniques. So you're getting flavors that don't normally come out of that particular grape, in this case, Pinot Noir, in a red wine Pinot Noir. The Rosé's got different flavors. And then when you go back to a Pinot Noir, especially from the same vineyard, because there's going to be, they are related, you're going to start, if you look, you're going to start finding flavors you didn't see before. And plus, this will inform you just generally about Willamette Valley rosés too, red wines and Pinot Noir red wines too. And if you're not really into that, and just like rosés, well, this is a really classy little casual / classy, elegant rosé. I mean, it's really sleek and put together well, and it's balanced. For a young wine, it's bright acidity. It makes you want to take another sip way before you know, because I got the glass in my hand and I'm looking at it already, and I'm supposed to be talking, not drinking, but it's too late for that. Took another sip, and it's got that going for it. For a younger wine, it's kind of melded together very nicely, and it never gets sweet, but there is sweetness there. There's fruit nectar sweetness to it. I mean, but it's not a sweet wine at all. But the flavors give that impression. So it's a really nice beginning of summer. The beautiful label wine. It'll look great on your table, I'll tell you that. It's beautiful. And I'm going to go back to the wine label because, you can tell what's in the wine by the label. I mean, if you don't know what the wine is or what the grape is or anything, the label doesn't tell you anything. This is a Rosé Pinot Noir. And it's got this beautiful wraparound label of a garden, but it's not just necessarily a garden. It's not a still life. It's kind of a stylized picture, but it's bright, and there's bright colors and muted, and things are melded together, and everything's where the artist wants it, not where nature wants it. And that's kind of what this wine is. It's where the winemaker put things. It is bright. It is beautiful. But it is a creation. And so that pretty much informs you what this wine is. And you can always, if you want a rustic Zinfandel, you can find that. If you want a casual wine, you can find that. If you want an old school wine, you can usually tell the labels, like maybe an old school label. I always like wines with skulls on it. They're usually going to be bright and juicy and maybe spicy. They're going to be big and bold. They're not going to be, wimpy wines because they got skulls on them. They're telling you this is going to be fun. It's going to be big, fruity, and juicy. And here we got a pretty garden scene, which is telling you basically what this rosé is. It does work. You can look at the label if you know what's in the bottle. If you have no idea, it's a red wine, I have no idea this label's telling me, but you can put two and two together, because wineries don't want to fool you. They don't want you, give you an impression that it's one thing and then you think it's the other, though people can get the wrong impression easy enough, or if they're not thinking, but they expect you to know what you're doing. So this is a wine that kind of will let you know by the label what it's going to be, and it kind of delivers on that. It is this beautiful, garden fresh wine that's with an elegant picture on the label. It's put together in a particular manner. Yeah, it works. I like it. And that's me. It's locked down or having spring from inside. I can tell I'm not that far from the lake in Chicago, and I ain't going to be able to see it for any time soon. But that's another story. Hope you're all doing well. It seems to be getting worse than getting better, but hang in there and we'll all get through this. So bye-bye. This is over and out for me. Dave, until next time, keep it cheap, and we'll talk to you in a few days. Bye-bye.